What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Prophecy Misfits Podcast. This is episode 271. COG in an emergency. COG in an emergency. It's going to be an interesting ride tonight. It's going to be, we got a lot to talk about. It's going to be rapid fire. We're going to be going through a whole bunch of stuff because the news just keeps on rolling through. And so we're definitely going to be going through a lot of stuff tonight. So I hope you guys are strapped in and ready to go. So COG in the machine. We got a lot of stuff that's going on when it comes to an interesting development when it comes to the helicopter plane crash and stuff like that. Again, we're not going to speculate on all those things, but there was a phrase that was mentioned, pretty interesting, to say the least, a phrase mentioned by Hegseth. So we're going to kind of talk about that, what it is, and we don't know if it's going to mean anything, but we're still going to just take a look at what's going on. We're also going to be taking a look at what's going on. I'm sure I've seen some people in the chat already. Trump's comments when he met with Netanyahu about Gaza. I've got no surprise on that one. I'm probably going to make a lot of people angry and whatnot with the information on that, but we're going to be talking about that as well. We got some stuff when it comes to the immigration stuff, the deal with Canada and Mexico, which really wasn't a deal at all. We'll talk about that. We got some more information with Trump in Ukraine, some stuff going on with that, latest on military stuff, the U.S. aid thing. I'm sure everybody's heard that, they came in and shut down the U.S. aid program. They did not. We'll talk about that as well. We'll talk about the rumor going around that they're going to bring down the Department of Education. What could that possibly mean? We also got some stuff, latest comments from Scott Bessent and Howard Lutnick, the Secretary of Treasury, Secretary of Commerce. Some interesting comments regarding that stuff as well. We got some more information about Musk apparently having access to the U.S. financial system, which that plays a part into what he's announced as well, plus some stuff on 6G and a bunch of other stuff. Yeah, I told you we got a lot of things to talk about today. It's just piling up. It's just piling up, and I'm trying to keep everybody as informed as possible, but at the same time making sure that we're not falling for the lies that are being pushed out there, to say the least. Yeah, I wish there was a stronger word than lies, because it seems like it needs to be stronger. Just like I've said a couple times, there needs to be a stronger word than evil, because there's some things going on that, to me, evil just doesn't quite sound harsh enough for what's going on, to say the least. But alrighty. So we're going to be talking about that. If this is your first time in, welcome. This is what we do on Tuesdays and Saturdays. We get together and we watch for the signs of the return of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. We don't know exactly when he's going to come. We don't know, the date. We can't guess the date. We don't have a certain time frame or a high watch time or any of that junk that a lot of people are pushing nowadays. There's nothing biblical about it. But we will know the season. We're told to watch for his return, so we won't be necessarily caught off guard. We don't know exactly when it's going to happen, but we will see stepping stones towards the construction of the Antichrist beast system and prophetic events that'll happen post-rapture into the day of the Lord. And so we just keep track of what we're supposed to do. We're commanded to be watchmen, so we're going to watch. We're going to do what we are commanded to do to the best of our ability. We all fall short, of course, but that's why we have Jesus Christ. Praise the Lord for Jesus Christ and his gift of salvation that only he can provide, that's for sure. So, yeah. It's going to be good stuff. Welcome in if this is your first time. And if you've been here for a while, welcome in as well. Good to see all of you. All right, let's see what's going on with you guys in the chat. I'm sure y'all are doing some chat-like things. You guys are a bunch of crazy people, to say the least. Good stuff. Let's start right here. Misfit Tina and Peanut the Pug. Good to see you, Misfit Tina, good to see you, and hopefully you are doing all right. It's Tuesday. It is Tuesday. Hopefully you're doing all right this fine Tuesday. Speaking of Peanut, we have the Peanut Gallery. So we got Peanut the Pug, and then we've got the Peanut Gallery. Stephanie, good to see you, and thanks for being here. Hopefully you are doing all right today. We got Nightingale. What's going on, Nightingale? Good evening again. Well, good evening to you as well. glad to have you here, and hopefully you're having a good week. Rick Whitaker is here. Good to see you, man. And thanks for being here, spending your Tuesday night here. Victoria Vizier is here as well. Good to see you. Hopefully you and your mom are doing all right. Glad to have you here, and thanks for being here. Allison is here as well. Good to see you. And hopefully you're doing all right this Tuesday evening. Patricia Schultz is here as well with the doggo. You got a picture of a doggo. Look at the little doggo. Oh, man. Give him a scratch. He's the goodest of boys. Good to see you, Patricia. Thanks for being here. I love dogs, guys. If you guys haven't figured it out, I love it. Jellyfish67 is here. Good to see you, Jellyfish. Thanks for being here. Hopefully you're doing all right. Misfit Matt, what's up, man? Glad to see you in here, and hopefully you're doing good. Talked to you earlier, but hopefully you're doing good, and hopefully the Pops is doing all right as well. So good to see you, man. Eternity, one day at a time. That's kind of interesting to think about. Eternity, forever, one day at a time. That's going to be an interesting thing to feel, sitting above time like that. That's a whole different discussion on that one. Let's see. Debani Ray, good to see you. What's going on? Well, just doing the usual. And you got the puppers there too. That's a good boy. It's always good. Good to see you, Debani Rowe. What's up, Jalapeno? Good to see you, man. Hopefully you're doing all right. And I see it. The cats aren't bad. Get it, Linda. Get out of here. Dogs rule, cats drool. That's how it goes. We're getting third grade up in here with this. Good to see you, Jalapeno. Let's see what we got. Not of this world. Good to see you. Please be nice to my tools. They do the best they can. Pray for Patrick. He will not be here tonight. He is currently sick. So if you can pray for him, that would be great. Let's see. We got Steel Magnolia as well. Good to see you, Steel. Thanks for being here. Matt Linton, what's up, man? Finally able to attend a Tuesday. Woohoo! Yeah, I'll give you a woohoo. Yeah, good to see you, Matt. Thanks for being here, man. Who else we got? We got Sherry as well. Good to see you, Sherry. Thanks for being here, and hopefully you're doing all right. We got Nancy West as well, and good to see you, Nancy. Hopefully you're having a good week, and thank you for being here. Trace Severs, one of those. Good to see you, Trace. I've never learned how to pronounce your last name, and I'll continue to butcher it from here on out as well. Good to see you, Trace. Les is here. Good to see you. Hopefully you're having a good Tuesday. Thanks for being here. Bab is here as well. Good to see you, man. Let's see here. We got Psych Nurse as well. Good to see you. Rapid Fire. Yeah, it's going to be Rapid Fire for sure tonight. Let's see. Who else? I know there's some people here. We got Neardo Andrew as well. Good to see you, Neardo. We got Jojo. Good to see you, Jojo. We got Mina as well. Good to see you, Mina. Thanks for being here. Kevin is here. A Canadian should have fun here tonight. Kevin, are they allowing you to watch this stream? I know that they've been getting rid of all the American stuff, so I'm not sure if you're allowed to watch American streams. It's good to see you, Kevin. Cheryl Vogel is here as well. We got Peter Witt as well. Good to see you, Peter. Diane Dodick. Good to see you, Diane. Thanks for being here. And we got Jay Miller as well. So good to see you guys. If I don't pick you out, it's not that I don't like you. It's just, like I said earlier, we got a bunch of stuff to jump to. So let's go ahead and get into some housekeeping.
Housekeeping?
No, thank you. Sleeping.
Housekeeping?
All right, so housekeeping, usual spiel. If you guys can, like, share, subscribe, get this out to as many people as you can. It's not about views, it's not about butts and seats, but it is about getting the warning out to people and getting people to Jesus. That's why we do this. That is the whole goal of this show and what we do. So liking, sharing, and subscribing does help reach people who have questions, who are lost, and ultimately need the gospel of Jesus Christ. Again, I'm trying to be that bridge to kind of get some of those secular people who are looking for truth and bring them over. Give them some Jesus, and that's what I'm trying to do with this. So if you guys can do me a solid and like, share, subscribe, it'll certainly help reach those people as well. Also, make sure you guys follow me, Rumble, Odyssey, Telegram. Those are my backup channels. If I get booted off YouTube, we'll be backup live streaming over on Rumble. Of course, we're multi-streaming to YouTube, Rumble, and the website. But, of course, if we get booted, we'll be on Rumble. And then Odyssey's the backup to the backup type of deal. Telegram, I post updates, announcements, news, things, and anything in between. I just kind of throw it up there as we go throughout the week and whatnot. So make sure you guys follow me on there. Of course, your one-stop shop for all your questions and everything like that is the WretchedWatchmen.com website. That's the place you always find the announcements, latest podcasts, event page, and video series, and so on and so forth. That's the place I'll always make sure to update, so make sure you guys are... you bookmark the website so you're always up to date on what's going on with that. And then, of course, coming up here in March, we're just a little over a month away. Good stuff. We have the If We're Still Here Bible Prophecy Shindig. This is 100% free and online. You don't have to register. You don't have to go anywhere special. You don't have to travel. You don't have to pay for anything. There's none of that junk. It's free online. Just head to the YouTube page or the website on that day, and it will be there for you to watch. And then it'll be there to watch until they take the internet down. I have no plans on taking it down for any reason after that anyway. So that's March 15th. Saturday all-day event. JB Hickson, JD Farag, David Bowen, Jeff Solwold, John Prescott, Toby Stevens, and myself. It's going to be good stuff. That is the final set in stone speaker list, and I've already actually just yesterday sent out emails to all the guys to collect the subjects and the titles that they'll be speaking on. So it's going to be good stuff. It's going to be good stuff for sure. So make sure you guys tune in for that. Share that with as many people as you can. Believers, non-believers, hold church events, house events, barbecues, whatever you want to do. Just get everybody together, and it's going to be a good day. If we're still here, of course. And then we've got tomorrow is the first Wednesday of the month, and y'all know that means Bubble Adventures will be coming out. So yeah, tomorrow, first Wednesday of the month at noon Central, 1 p.m. Central over on Rumble is the Bobblehead Adventures. So make sure you guys tune in for that. It's just a time to spend about 5 minutes, disconnect from all the craziness of the world, and just kind of laugh a little bit with some ridiculousness, to say the least. So good stuff. That'll be out tomorrow, noon Central on YouTube, 1 p.m. Central on Rumble. And last but not least, if you guys would like to support this channel and what I do, I got donation links down below. CashApp, Venmo, and GiveSendGo. This channel's not monetized. I don't make anything from ads, views, anything like that. It runs solely off of your guys' generous donations. So if you guys would like to help keep this channel going, allow us to continue to do the things that we're doing, to be the misfits that we are, those links are below. And yeah, thank you guys for your support and your blessings, and your prayers and kind words and encouragement and everything. You guys are awesome. I thank the Lord for you guys every day. So thank you for your support on that. So. Okay. Woo. We good? All right. That's housekeeping for today. All right. Let's see here. I think I got everything. Yeah. Okay. No questions today. It's just we've got too much to talk about, and I want to make sure I get through all this stuff. And I don't want to be here all night. I don't want to keep you guys here all night. So, yeah, we're just going to do no questions because we got plenty of other stuff to talk about. So save them for Saturday. Save them for Saturday. All right, let's go ahead and get into the first thing involving the helicopter stuff. So I'm sure a lot of people are aware. I haven't really made mention of it because there's not anything to really mention because we don't know anything more than we did last time, honestly. Except just a whole bunch of random theories and narratives going around, which a lot of them were disproven pretty quickly. But we got some stuff when it comes to the helicopter situation. Words from Hegseth, which I think are interesting. So we can see here, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth says mistake was made during military training regarding deadly crash. And this is when he was having that interview. I don't have the video, but I'm going to go ahead and share this because it's in this report. It says, his quote, he said this: they were on a routine annual retraining night flights on a standard corridor for the continuity of government mission. Continuity of government, or COG. COG in an emergency. Hey, there we go. All right, tied it to the title. Continuity of government mission. The military does dangerous things. It does routine things on a regular basis. Tragically, last night was a mistake. A mistake was made, Hegseth said. So, yeah, continuity of government. Now, this is where sometimes things can either slip out or purposely put in there where they just put a whole bunch of other stuff and they just surround things like this. Now, this is an interesting term. It's not new. It's been around for a while. Many people just overlook it and go, what does that mean? Well, I did a little looking onto it, and I think this is important to understand. So, in 1987, there was a hearing by Representative Jack Brooks who asks a guy, Lieutenant Colonel Oliver North, about what the continuity of government is. What is this program that currently sits in the government? And so I've got a clip of this, and then we can kind of break it down from there. So check this out.
Colonel North, in your work at the NSC, were you not assigned at one time to work on plans for the continuity of government in the event of a major disaster?
Mr. Chairman.
I believe that question touches upon a highly sensitive and classified area, so may I request that you not touch upon that, sir?
I was particularly concerned, Mr. Chairman, because I read in Miami papers and several others that there had been a plan developed by that same agency, a contingency plan in the event of emergency that would suspend the American Constitution. And I was deeply concerned about it and wondered if that was the area in which he had worked. I believe that it was, but I wanted to get his confirmation.
May I most respectfully request that that matter not be touched upon at this stage. If we wish to get into this, I'm certain arrangements can be made for an executive session.
Interesting. The continuity of government plan, again, this was a hearing back in 1987, has to do with an emergency plan that would suspend the Constitution of America. Now, this was during a hearing where Lieutenant Colonel Oliver North there, the guy in the military uniform, was being questioned regarding a situation with the Iran-Contra thing where the United States government was basically trying to go in there and take over a government situation in that area, in that region over there. So Mr. North there was under some pretty devious stuff, not only with the program, but with the hearing that he was involved with as well. So let's kind of break this down a little bit. So the continuity of government, which again, this is the same supposed test that Hegseth was talking about with the helicopter training, retraining, night flight routine, whatever you want to do it. So that tells us that it's still in effect. That tells us that this program is still alive and well if it needs to be pulled out. And this would, again, suspend the Constitution of the United States in an event of an emergency. Well, the term emergency is so broad that it could be anything. Anything that they deem worthy enough to be an emergency, whether it's something like as extreme as nuclear attack or something that they deem could be a national security threat. And there's a lot of things going on right now that could be deemed national security threats in today's situation. So in 1987, the Miami Herald released a report about the continuity of government programs that basically created a virtual parallel government outside our traditional structure. Basically, if they activated this program, the government as we know it would suspend the Constitution, remove power from the current government that we have, and then raise up the shadow parallel government and put them in charge of what's going on. You know, we use the term shadow government a lot. Well, this is literally the shadow government that they have in place for that situation. The report shows that Lieutenant Colonel Oliver North, again, the man being questioned in the video, helped write this plan in 1982. It was originally written in 1982. This plan went into effect, establishing this literal shadow government in 1988. Well, how? It was an executive order signed by Ronald Reagan in 1988. This is Executive Order 12656, the assignment of emergency preparedness responsibilities. And this has to do with, again, November 18th, 1988, it was officially signed in, whereas our national security is dependent upon our ability to ensure continuity of government at every level in any national security emergency situation that might confront the nation. Yep. Whereas effective national preparedness planning to meet such an emergency, including a massive nuclear attack, is essential to our national survival. And it just keeps going where it's kind of a broad situation of what's going on. And this would suspend the Constitution. I know there's a lot of people that and I'm going to specifically use this word. If it makes you angry, that's too bad, but there's been a lot of people that have been brainwashed that Reagan was one of the good guys. Take a look at his history. He really was not one of the good guys. He did many things like this. He protected the pharmaceutical companies. He ushered in the age of dumbing down Americans through the education system. He established this, and there's a whole bunch of other things that he's done as well that you guys can take a look at. Keep in mind, he was just another actor before being a politician. Does that sound familiar to anybody? There's another actor sitting as masquerading as a politician that's currently in office right now as well. So we got this going on as well in this situation. This new government, beginning with Reagan's executive order, would take over in the case of, again, the national emergency, national survival, or martial law. In the name of martial law. Not only does this suspend the Constitution, but grants monitoring of any citizen and would establish a military dictatorship, which is something I've warned about for a little while, that I personally see coming in some type of fashion. And as things continue to move forward, my concerns has not dropped at all. They've only escalated from here, especially since he's already throwing the Constitution away and just going executive order after executive order, what things that dictators usually do. He's not abiding by the Constitution through congressional things anymore. Now he's just signing whatever he wants into to pass. This program was used, and it was used in September of 2001 after the 9/11 false flag attacks, which of course established the dystopian policies that we see in front of us and we are still dealing with today. It's crazy what happens in the name of security. Coming with this was a database called MainCore that contained a list of Americans deemed as threats, troublemakers, and those who oppose the narrative. You've heard the term of, I'm sure you're on a list somewhere. That's the list. That's when the list was created. Yeah, good times. This was the structuring point for the creation of the technocratic system that we are currently seeing being built today, especially under Trump's administration, with everything that's going on. So that is the continuity of government program that is not a myth. It was established back in 1982, was questioned in 1987, was signed in by Reagan in 1988, has been deployed once before, and with everything heating up right now, it would not shock me if this is used in the future in some type. And it's very interesting that Hegseth would mention that in regards to this helicopter situation, especially since it's such a massive media news story. Something that I always put forward when it comes to stuff, whenever you see something in the news or the media, they want you to see it. Whenever they push something to the extent that they have with this situation, then they really want you to see it because there's something there that they're telling you. And so when they're purposely pushing something like that so extensively, it's usually good to just kind of pay attention to the smaller details rather than get caught up in trying to figure out the narrative that they're surrounding things around. So just a little something that's how I operate. That's how I look. Again, obviously, when there's something big and flashy going on, pay attention to some of the other things. But again, when something's getting pushed that hard, pay attention to the little details, especially if it's something buried like that. Now, could it be something? I don't know. I just find it fascinating that they would mention something like that in a meeting like he did. He didn't put any emphasis on it. There was no media outcry about it, but it was there surrounded by a whole bunch of other political speak. And it's such a fascinating program that was just kind of buried in there. So something that I wanted to put forward on that. Now, when it comes to this situation of building this dystopian system, I also wanted to put this forward too, because again, it's worth paying attention to when it comes to stocks and stuff like that every once in a while. And Palantir, of course, is Peter Thiel's company that's all hooked up in biometrics, military industrial complex, AI surveillance, and a whole host of other things that they do, all data, AI type technology that they're involved with. Well, we know that Peter Thiel is one of the main guys, a part of Trump's techno-bro administration about bringing in this AI biometric dystopian surveillance state. Well, they are flourishing, to say the least. And what you can see here, breaking Palantir does it again, now up 14% on stronger than expected quarter 4 2024 earnings. The stock is officially up 500% over the last 12 months. You can see that giant candle there. Palantir's market cap is currently up more than $30 billion in after hours trading, up to $224 billion. Palantir is now larger than companies such as American Express, McDonald's, Disney, Pepsi, Goldman Sachs, and Adobe. Palantir stock is up more than 400% over the last year and is up another 10% in after hours today following the earnings. And then Palantir released this letter to the shareholders on February 3rd of this year. It says, we are still in the earliest days in the beginning of the first act of a revolution that will play out over years and decades. First act of a revolution. Almost like a reset, a great reset, bringing in a new system type of deal. Our total revenue in the fourth quarter last year reached a record $828 million, representing a growth rate of 14%, so on and so forth. This is not an incremental advance or marginal acceleration of our business. This is a new phase. Yeah, definitely a new phase after Trump took office. And the momentum we are seeing across sectors, both commercial and government, is unlike anything that has come before. Yes, because we are entering that new phase. We are entering the phase of absolutely accelerated beast system creation. Every single hour, there is a new thing coming forth from the Trump administration that is pushing us even closer to the creation of this system, the implementation of the system here in the United States. All over, every day, just hour upon hour, there's more information. That's why we have so much to talk about tonight, is because it's just so much. There's no holds bar. There's no pretending anymore. They don't have to hold anything back. They don't have to play the political game. Now it's pedal to the metal. We are setting this thing up, and we don't care who sees what we're doing. They're just doing it. But yet, we still got people that are being blinded by some of the lies that are coming out regarding this information. That's why we're going to talk about some of this stuff that is a bunch of bait and switch. And I'm going to show you, because a lot of the conservative people, news outlets and whatnot, are saying, look at what happened. This is great. And that's not really the case of what happens. But Palantir is one of the big players in this, and they are skyrocketing, telling their stakeholders, hang on. It's a new phase. It's a revolution. We've never seen anything like this. I agree. We haven't seen anything like this, and it's going to push forward fast. And so one of the things with Palantir that they're setting up with Trump and whatnot has to do with surveillance all over the world. Palantir is, of course, Peter Thiel, but it's also Alex Karp, who's connected to the CIA, but Alex Karp is also connected to the Mossad. And Israel does play a lot of parts in building up this big tech, big surveillance, big pharma situation. Now, again, this is going to be a situation where a lot of people are going to get angry at me. That's fine. You all know that I am a Christian Zionist, but I call out the political Zionist situation that's going on. Two very separate entities. Of course, as Christians, we're called to support the Jews and the land, but at the same time, we must, and I'm going to say it again, must, because most Christians are not doing this, must be able to separate Christian Zionism from the political Zionism that we see. Things like the establishment of Israel in 1948 through the Rothschild family. God used that. God used evil people to establish his land, but the people who are in control, and that includes Netanyahu, he's one of them. He's one of them. He's not a good guy. A lot of people think that he is. A lot of Christians are being fed by people like, I don't know, Amir Sephardi, that says Trump and not Netanyahu are great people when they're part of the elites. But the thing is we have to be able to separate those two things. And again, I'm going to get criticized for it. That's fine. But the only way to not be deceived is to separate those two things. And so I usually make that point whenever I talk about something like this. Now, back on October 7th, when the attack happened, it was like a week or two afterwards. I waited. I didn't say anything about it. And then I put something out, just a small thing. I didn't want to drive anything home regarding it, but a small thing. And I said, I believe Israel knew that the attack was coming and they let it happen. I took a lot of heat for that. I took a lot of heat for it. And then information started coming out that showed that, wow, maybe they did know it was coming. Maybe they did let it happen. Why would they do that? Maybe there was another plan regarding it. Well, in today's comments, just an hour ago, when Trump met Netanyahu, there was some pretty interesting comments regarding this situation. Trump says United States will take over Gaza, will own it. He said the U.S. would level the site and create an economic development. In order to make that happen, what do you have to do? You have to go in and level it. Trump said Tuesday that the United States will take over the Gaza Strip, level the site, and rebuild it after earlier sayings Palestinians living there would leave. They instead can occupy all of the beautiful area with homes and safety, and they can live out their lives in peace and harmony in other areas or countries, he said at a news conference with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. The U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip and will do a job with it too. We'll own it and be responsible for dismantling all of the dangerous unexploded bombs and other weapons on the site, level the site, and get rid of the destroyed buildings, level it out, he said. Now, these comments don't shock me at all. I've had something here for a while that I haven't talked about, and then this was brought to my attention about an hour before the show, and so I decided to pull it out. And I believe this is absolutely in the cards, and one of the reasons why they let the attack happen. Because if we go to this report, this is what is this? This is Times of Israel. No, it's not Times of Israel. Jerusalem Post. It's from the Jerusalem Post back in May 3rd of 2024. From crisis to prosperity, Netanyahu's vision for Gaza 2035 revealed online. Now, I know there's a lot of people that say, well, the fires in LA were for rebuilding their smart system. The fires in Maui were for rebuilding their smart system. Could this jaunt into Gaza be for Gaza 2035? Sure sounds like it. I just picked out a couple things here. It says there has been much debate about exactly what Israel's plans for a post-war Gaza would look like. Documents from Prime Minister's office were established online Friday, showing Israel's plan to revitalize the Gazan economy. Again, this was back in 2024. The documents published online showed Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu attempt to bring out a lasting peace and reintegrate Gaza into the regional economy through large infrastructure and economic investment. That sure looks like a smart city to me. The plan laid out the goal of rebuilding Gaza in order to moderate its politics. The wider regional plan is to ramp up the mega projects such as NEOM, which is, again, the giant line dystopian technocrat prison city that they're building in Saudi Arabia, and implement them in the Sinai. This would enable Gaza to function as a significant industrial port on the Mediterranean, which would be the main entrepot. That's a new word for me, for the export of Gazan goods, but also Saudi oil and other raw materials from the Gulf. The first step, titled Humanitarian Aid, is planned to last 12 months. Israel will create safe areas free of Hamas control, starting in the north and slowly spreading south. Coalition of Arab countries, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Egypt, Bahrain, Jordan, and Morocco will apportion and supervise humanitarian aid in the safe areas. Could that be part of the expansion of the Abrahamic Accords? The Abraham Accords that we've been waiting for? Could be. I'm not going to say that it is, because I don't know. But could that be part of this? Because Trump, in that meeting with Netanyahu, said that he wants to expand upon those as well. So could this all be a part of the plan? Is something that's pretty interesting to think about. So, again, it's one of those situations where there's going to be Christians coming at me saying, you're an idiot, or what's the term that I've heard often? Looney Tune. Yeah, Yeah, I think Holt House likes to use that one for people like me. And then after he called everybody who said that Israel let the attack happen, their Looney Tune, a couple months later, he changed its tune and said, oh, look at that, they did. Shocking, right? But yeah, it's one of those things where this sure seems like proof that that was all orchestrated in one way or another. Could this be another case of allowing it to happen, giving them the ability to go in, level it, and now we see what's going on? Not going to plant my flag on it. That's something that for you guys to figure out. Do your own research. Do your own research. All right, so let's go ahead and move into immigration. Because this is another situation that, again, Palantir's involved with. Remember, Palantir, Peter Thiel, J.D. Vance, Donald Trump, they have said that they want to build the wall, but it's going to be the AI biometric surveillance wall that comes with digital IDs and whatnot. Well, we see a lot of what's going on with immigration that's worth paying attention to as well. And the first one that I want to talk about is this. It says some migrants arrested in Trump's immigration crackdown have been released back into the United States. Space constraints and court orders have led ICE to release migrants on monitoring programs after they're arrested. Does any of this sound familiar? It seems like I've been reading this same headline for the past, 10 years now, that this is always the situation. Well, we have to keep releasing them back. We just don't have enough space. Remember the whole outrage of kids in cages that never stopped, that actually happened before Trump and after Trump, but yet only Trump was blamed for it? Yeah, that's kind of interesting how that works. But this is the same situation. This is the same situation. It says the Trump administration aggressively publicized the arrest of more than 8,000 immigrants by federal agents since Inauguration Day, with the promise that those detained would be part of the historic mass deportation. But NBC News has learned that some may have already been released back into the United States on a monitoring program, according to 5 sources familiar with the operations. Since he took office, President Trump has and his allies have promoted immigration operations in cities like Chicago, New York, where agents across federal agencies were called in to increase the number of arrests. But arresting more people inside the United States on allegations of immigration violation means they need to be held somewhere, and significant space constraints in immigration and customs enforcement detention facilities and federal court orders forbidding indefinite detention have forced the agency to release some of those arrested in the roundup rather than hold them until deportation. So again, same old song and dance. We're getting the display and the fist pumps from the conservatives saying they're taking them out, they're shipping them by the boatloads back to where they're coming from, but yet we've got the same situation that we've had for a long time where they're still getting released back under surveillance programs. Again, I've been reading this headline for like 10 years now. Nothing has changed in regards to it. The other thing that I want to bring up is, you guys heard the news that came out that there's about 75,000 children that were just found, but there's been no pictures, no reports of where they're going, no interviews with the parents of the kids having their kids returned, nothing. We just have the report going around 75,000 kids were found. No evidence showing anything regarding that. Did they? If they did, where are they? What's the situation? Why haven't we heard anything about it? I have a lot of questions. It's just a whole bunch of stuff swirling around, but with no proof regarding what's actually happening. Could this be another bigger situation brewing? That's my question, especially since we're now getting stuff regarding this. This is Mexican cartels targeting Border Patrol agents with kamikaze drones, explosives amid Trump crackdown. The warning comes as Trump administration continues to enact tougher border security measures and targets illegal immigrations for deportation. This is from February 3rd. Mexican drug cartels are ordering their members to target U.S. Border Patrol agents with kamikaze drones and other explosives amid a crackdown at the southern border by the Trump administration. An internal memo titled Officer Safety Alert cited social media posts and other sources for warning to federal agents. The New York Post reported agents were reminded to be cognizant of their surroundings and should be wearing their wearing their ballistic armor and utilizing their long firearms. Do you guys remember the war on drugs and the absolute damage that it did to U.S. Citizens' freedoms and rights and really didn't do anything to drugs, especially since the number one drug cartel in the world is the CIA. Something interesting to think about there. It seems like we've got another situation of that happening. We've got all this effort to build a prison wall, AI biometric surveillance wall. We've got the situation where we've got immigrants that are being apparently captured and re-let back into the United States. And now we've got reports coming out that the drug cartels are about ready to declare war upon the Border Patrol. It seems like there's a buildup for something that's happening right now. Something else that I want to put forward on this. You can see at the bottom, Mexico agrees to deploy 10,000 troops to the U.S. border in exchange for tariff pause. So I want to talk about this as well. It's being taunted, or not taunted, being hawked that there's that Trump put the pressure on Canada and Mexico for to do these border things because of the tariff stuff. So first things first. How many times was Border Patrol being caught cutting fences and allowing illegal immigrants to come through? Just go and look it up. There's reports all over the place. It's been happening for a long time. So just because there's more border agents on the U.S. side doesn't mean that that's going to fix anything. Mexico has had over 10,000 troops deployed at their border since 2021. That was a deal that was set back in 2021, and they've had that there, and we still have the problem. That's nothing has changed in regards to that on the Mexican side or on the Mexico side. The other thing that's coming out is Canada, that there's the deal with Canada that they need to now start doing, border patrols and putting more troops on there and stuff like that. But the problem is that was already in effect in December as well. So let's take a look at this. Trump to pause promised tariffs for 30 days after speaking with Trudeau. PM to anoint fentanyl czar and list Mexican cartels as terrorists. So to get Trump to shelve his punishing tariffs, Trudeau told him Canada's pressing ahead with a previously announced $1.3 billion border security plan. So there wasn't any new deal. We're just going with what was already there. This is straight from Canada's website. From December 17th, 2024, Government of Canada announces its plan to strengthen border security and immigration system. And all the things that were a part of this supposed tariff deal with Trump was already there, except like two things, which really is just virtue signaling. I'll show you why. But detecting and disrupting the fentanyl trade, introducing significant tools for law enforcement, increasing information sharing between Canada and the United States, enhancing operational coordination between Canada and the United States. All these things were part of that supposed deal. But if we go through, it says previously announced $1.3 billion border security plan that introduces reinforcing the 49th parallel with new choppers, technology personnel, stepping up its coordination with American officials. All that stuff was already being put into effect before the deal. Trudeau said, all told, there will be 10,000 frontline. What's up with all the 10,000? It's 10,000 on everything. Kind of interesting. The Prime Minister also made a series of new commitments. Okay, so this is where everybody said this was the new deal. Okay, let's take a look. Including a promise to appoint a new fentanyl czar. So just take somebody, put the name fentanyl czar title on them, and you're good to go. That means nothing. He promised to list Mexican cartels and top purveyors of fentanyl and other drugs in Canada and the U.S. as terrorists under Canadian law. Okay, I mean, how does that change anything just because they're on a list now? Again, I'm not seeing anything on that. A lot of people are saying you're being nitpicky. I'm not. There needs to be some type of actual movement and not just slapping titles on things and calling it good. Trudeau said Canada is launching a Canada-U.S. joint task force, and that will be tasked with combating organized crime and money laundering. He's kicking in $200 million in funding to get it off the ground. Again, that's all stuff that was listed in that as well. There's really nothing different that's going on. So my whole point, and a lot of people are saying you're being overly critical. I'm not being overly critical. It's just when you have this display of these deals were already in place. First of all, Mexico had theirs since 2021. And now this one that was already announced previously, and now they're just going to slap a title and on somebody and then put a drug cartel on a list. This is theater. in my opinion. This is theater, in my opinion. Nothing has really changed. For what reason, I don't know. I'm not going to pretend like I have a reason for, or that I know the reason for this, but all I can tell you is something stinks, and I don't know what it is. We've got the announcement of continuity of government. We've got this immigration system with cartels now apparently declaring war on the Border Patrol, and now we've got this display of lockdown border stuff. I don't know. Something stinks for me. But either way, we know that they want to do stronger biometric AI deployment with this. Could this be the excuse for them to do it? Maybe. I think there's something more to it, but I do think that this is a part of it. We've talked about that. Another war on drugs could give them an excuse to implement more things, just like they did the last time. And then what about, again, dealing with the main number one traffickers, drug traffickers, which is the CIA, which again, Trump has already called on the CIA multiple times to increase their foothold and involvement in the United States, which I thought that went against everything MAGA stood for. Something else to think about on that. So just throwing it out there, letting you know. I think personally something stinks. You go and do your own research and come to your own conclusion when it comes to that. How are we doing on time? We got to keep moving. All right, let's go ahead and move into what's going on with the Ukraine situation. Now, if you guys remember, I talked about this before. Direct quote from Trump, he would have the Russia-Ukraine war ended before he even takes office. Everybody always wants to say promises said, promises kept. That was a lie. Not only is that still going on, but now he's talking about increasing more defense for Ukraine. Why? Well, let's take a look at this. He wants a deal with Ukraine's rare earth elements. This has to do with his techno bros, man. I'm telling you, Trump says he wants Ukraine's rare earth elements as a condition of further support. Donald Trump on Monday indicated that he wants to reach an agreement with Ukraine to gain access to the country's rare earth materials as a condition for continuing U.S. support for its war against Russia. I thought he wanted that ended before he even took office. Now, all of a sudden, he's wanting to make a trade to continue it. What's up with that? Speaking to reporters in the Oval Office, Trump complained that the U.S. had sent more in military and economic assistance to Ukraine than its European partners, adding, "We're looking to do a deal with Ukraine where they're going to secure what we're giving them with their rare earth and other things." Trump suggested that he's received word from the Ukrainian government that they'd be willing to make a deal to give the U.S. access to the elements critical to the modern high-tech economy. Yes, there's the techno bro stuff. Remember, we got things, Canada has this stuff. Greenland has this stuff. He wants to make deals with all that. Fascinating. And he says, "I want to have security of rare earth," Trump said. "We're putting in hundreds of billions of dollars that they have great rare earth, and I want security of the rare earth, and they're willing to do it." Adding on to that, going back to January 29th, we got this. U.S. transfers 90 Patriot missiles from Israel to Ukraine. That doesn't seem like ending the war to me, and it seems like you're still financing it. This was January 29th. Says the United States has transferred around 90 Patriot air defense interceptors from storage in Israel to Poland for delivery to Ukraine. Sources familiar with the operation told Axios. The transfer comes as part of efforts by the Pentagon to bolster Ukraine's air defense capabilities against Russian attacks on critical infrastructure. This marks the most significant delivery of weapons involving Israel to Ukraine since the start of Russia's full-scale invasion nearly 3 years ago. Despite the plan, Israel initially delayed its decision due to concerns that Russia might retaliate in supplying advanced weaponry to Iran. According to a Ukrainian official, Benjamin Netanyahu refused to engage in discussions about the proposal for weeks. However, Netanyahu reportedly approved the transfer in late September. Again, just a little thing. Russia's full-scale invasion nearly 3 years ago. If Russia wanted Ukraine, it would have been done in a week. This is theater, and we're seeing a lot of reasons why right now. Ding, ding, ding. That makes sense. In preparation for the transfer, U.S. Air Force C-7 cargo planes recently transported the interceptors from an airbase in southern Israel to Chrezow. That was completely bad. Poland, a key logistics hub for military aid to Ukraine, along with the interceptors, additional equipment such as radars will be sent to the U.S. for refurbishment before final delivery to Ukraine. The interceptors are compatible with the Patriot batteries already operational in Ukraine. Now, the Ukraine thing is just a giant hotbed for a whole bunch of stuff. It's kind of like the COOF situation where you can't narrow it down to 1, 2, or 3 reasons for it. It's just a laundry list of reasons, and I use laundering for a reason because I think that's one of the elements too. But there's a whole bunch of reasons for this Ukraine thing, and the fact is both the United States and Russia are involved with what's going on there. Again, if Russia wanted Ukraine, it would have been done in a week. Just use logic. It would have been done. Clearly, there is a bunch of games, a bunch of pieces being moved around the risk board when it comes to this. So, rare earth materials, obviously for technology. Again, you got the techno bros behind Trump, Thiel, Karp, Musk, Schmidt, Altman, Zuckerberg, so on and so forth. Just line them all up. We know who they are. All that would certainly play a part with that. Plus, we've got the broken promise of immediately ending the war. That was a lie, another one. And they're actually continuing to supply. Now, with all that, you got the immigration stuff, you got this situation, you got all the stuff going on. I did come across this, which I think is pretty interesting, regarding the United States Army. It says, Army's new pilot program separates recruiters and processors. The pilot program is designed to shift administrative tasks to processing teams, which will allow recruiters to focus on marketing the military service. Buried in this report from January 27th was something pretty interesting. After falling short of its recruitment targets for years, the Army managed to bring in enough soldiers in 2024, but just barely. The service, however, bumped up its recruiting goals by thousands in 2025. When Trump comes in, the plan is to onboard 61,000 new soldiers and 10,000 people into the delayed entry program this year. And the Army seems to be well positioned to meet its recruitment targets once again in 2025. Current projections indicate that service will have about 36,800 recruits by February. Now, why am I bringing this up? We talked about the continuity of government, about being a military dictatorship. I have said that I believe that that's what Trump is going to do. He's going to create this dictatorship. And the fact that he comes in is going to spike military volunteer. Why? Because they want to serve under him. And so I believe that what we're seeing now could, I'm not saying is, so don't take that out of context, could be the spike where, similar to Nazi Germany when Hitler took over, where there was a massive spike in military recruitment because all the guys adored Hitler and wanted to serve under him and signed up for the army. Seems we have another spike like that happening now. Could be. Seems like. Not saying is, but that is pretty fancy. Or it tickles my fancy that that's buried there in regards to this, saying that they're well on pace to do everything that they need to in that situation. Just thought I'd throw that out. All right. Let's keep on going. Still got a lot here. Let's go ahead and move over to the U.S. aid situation. Okay, so you guys remember this has been, or I shouldn't use the word remember. I'm sure you guys have seen the past couple days this giant fist pump celebration regarding Marco Rubio, which I find it fascinating that all of the conservative people hated that guy before, now absolutely love him. I wonder what changed. Came out and said, we're dismantling the USAID department. Not quite. That's another lie as well. USAID to be merged in the State Department. Not dismantled, not shut down, not stopped. No, merged in the U.S. State Department. But there was a whole bunch of people that were fired, like all the other departments that they're getting ready to replace with AI. Come on now. Or as Gus would say, come on, son. If you got that reference, mega points for you. But yeah, merged. USAID, the United States Agency for International Development, will be merged into the State Department with significant cuts in the workforce, but it will remain a humanitarian aid entity. 3 U.S. officials told CBS News. It's not humanitarian aid. I'll show you really what's going on. Officials in Trump's administration are expected to announce the moves in the coming days. Discussion about the extent of the funding reductions remained fluid on Monday. Trump made Secretary of State Marco Rubio the acting administrator of USAID, sources told, and Rubio himself soon confirmed it to reporters traveling with him to in El Salvador. ABC News earlier reported his status as chief. Rubio said in a letter to congressional leaders that he has authorized Peter Morocco, Director of Foreign Assistance at State, to perform the duties of Deputy Administrator of USAID and to begin a review and potential reorganization of USAID's activities to maximize efficiency and align operations. Align operations with who? Well, this administration, obviously. It's not getting shut down. It's not stopping. It's not getting dismantled. It's just getting folded in and will continue to do what it does. The move to merge USAID with the State Department and reduce its funding may raise legal questions. However, USAID was established in 1961 by an act of Congress, so the president would require congressional approval to shut it down, which is why it's being merged, not shut down. USAID, like most of the rest of the federal government, has been operating under a temporary funding measure that expires in March. Okay, so with this, what I have seen regarding this situation from, again, the conservative people, Jack Posobiec, Charlie Kirk, drop my pen, Charlie Kirk, Jack Posobiec, there's some other ones that, they're all slipping my mind. I try to get these people out of my head, honestly. But all the conservative podcasters and Twitter people, and you know who they are. You know who they are. I'm sure you've seen it. I've been saying this was the nest for DEI. Have you seen that? This is that war on DEI that's going on. And they said the USAID situation was the DEI force. They were the ones that were not only spreading it across the United States, but across the world. And now they dismantle it. This is the fight against wokeism. And we're winning. We're winning. They shut it down. No, they didn't. They didn't shut it down. And while, yes, the USAID does push some of the DEI stuff out there, not saying that they don't, because they do, that's not the nest for DEI. See, here's something that I've noticed over the past 3 weeks now, is any time that they want people to get hooked onto the dope that they're peddling, they just say, we're crushing DEI. Remember the whole helicopter plane narrative? Trump came out before he had any, supposed knowledge of it. Take that with a grain of salt. And said, oh, it was because of DEI. It was supposedly this transgender pilot that died in the thing. That was false. But he pushed it, and that was the narrative that took off. And so all these departments, as they take them down, as they make these moves, you'll notice that they always attach DEI to it. Why? Because they have trained us for the past 4 years that is the biggest monster in front of us. They have trained us that the deep state is actually woke DEI. And so how do they push the idea of taking down the deep state? Well, we're removing this DEI program. Well, obviously, this was the DEI thing. Now, a lot of people are going to say that I'm defending DEI. I'm not. But at the same time, I'm telling you, it's not the deep state, and it's not the monster that everybody is projecting it to be. It is a monster, but it's just a little monster over here. It's not the monster, even though that's what they're pushing. So when we see stuff like this, they just go with the narrative that's being pushed to them, saying, we're winning. And people are hooked on it. Now, what actually is the USAID situation doing? I'll give you one example. Do your own research. There's a ton of it out there. I'll just give you one example of what's going on. This is from Georgia, not the state Georgia, but the country, Georgia. This is coming from a member of the political council there. U.S. aid spent through political non-governmental organizations, a U.S. dollar amount of $41.7 million on Georgian elections. This is what U.S. aid does. It gets involved with rigging and hijacking elections across the world. In terms of U.S.-Georgia population ratio, this would amount to U.S. dollar amount of $3.78 billion foreign money injected into U.S. elections. These numbers are even more grotesque in compared to the GDP ratio as well. So it is impossible to spend $41.7 million U.S. dollar on another country's elections and at the same time feel no accountability towards the population of said country. U.S. aid, which was responsible for spreading false PVT results and thus participated in disruption of elections in 2020 and continued a similar practice in 2024, must make clear how and why are millions of U.S. taxpayer dollars spent on the non-governmental organizations that lead disruptions of every election in Georgia. You can see one recipient, the Consortium for Elections and Political Process Strengthening, location in Georgia, for $26 million from the U.S. aid program. You can see another one for $15 million again regarding that. And this actually garnered a response. This was, when is that? That's October of 2024. The vast majority of NGOs in Georgia refused to register as foreign agents under new law. The vast majority of NGOs in Georgia have refused to register themselves as so-called foreign agents database under the controversial transparency of foreign influence law, often referred to as the Russian law. When the 30-day registration period closed on the 2nd of September, only 469 out of approximately 30,000 NGOs active in the country had registered. The remaining organizations refused to comply, claiming the law is inspired by by illiberal Russian legislation and threatens freedom of speech and democracy. Under the law, NGOs receiving more than 20% of their funding from foreign donors would have to register as organizations bearing the interest of a foreign power. Failure to do so will result in severe penalties. So Georgia knew that they had massive interference with their own elections. Why? Because we got a whole bunch of U.S. aid going in through these non-governmental organizations to cause chaos and manipulate the elections that were going on in Georgia. You can find stuff from Iran. You can find stuff from China. You can find stuff all over the place. Go back to the continuity of government. What was going on? You got the Iran, Contra, Nigeria whole situation happening there as well. So what was initially deemed as the shutting down of the deep state woke situation that is the U.S. aid is actually false. What is happening is they're folding the U.S. aid department into the State Department, which was already there, removing a whole bunch of people, declaring it as a win, and what they're going to do is they're just going to reorganize it, reshuffle it, and use it according to the alignment that they want, the alignment with the Trump administration. They're still going to continue to manipulate all the governments around the world just like they've been doing. Nothing has changed. Again, you were lied to. It was a sales job. I don't know what else to say. At this point, I don't know what else to say. So, this is the type of stuff that like the CIA does, where they go and they interfere with governments and elections and all that type of stuff. So, ay caramba, man. Ay caramba. All right. Another situation that I think is worth paying attention to has to do with the latest rumor about the dismantling of the Department of Education. I personally think that would be fantastic if they did it, because it's just a propaganda brainwashing center, making people stupid. But I think there's something more nefarious going on with it. So Let's take a look. It says Trump ordered to dismantle the education department in the works. Sources say February 3rd that this comes out. The order is expected to ask for a plan to shutter the department. President Donald Trump could soon sign an executive order directing the Secretary of Education to dismantle the Federal Department of Education, according to sources briefed on drafts of the order that have circulated among top administration officials. Go do some history on what happened during Nazi Germany. This really sounds familiar. The proposed order gutting the agency is call for the education secretary to submit a proposal for dismantling the department and for Congress to pass legislation to get rid of it. The timing on when Trump plans to sign the order remains unclear, but sources familiar with the process told ABC News that conversations about the future of the department have been actively occurring. Okay, so again, if they could actually dismantle that sucker and get rid of it for good, I'm all for it. It's not going to happen, though. It's not going to happen. That just does not happen. It doesn't. That's the reality of what's going on. What I think is going to happen is if they get rid of that, there's going to be an introduction of an AI system for schooling. That's what I think is going to happen. Let's take a look. Y'all know Javier Milei, the other actor that was installed in Argentina, who was supposedly against the globalists and whatnot, but is continuing to do the exact same technocratic installation in Argentina as Trump is doing right now. Let's take a look and see what they got cooking on this. Milei claims that he will apply artificial intelligence to sweep the state. Just stop me and let me know if any of this sounds familiar as we go through this. This was coming from the 3rd of June of 2024, by the way. The president of Argentina said he received proposals in the U.S. to implement a program that already works in El Salvador. Through new technologies, the president seeks to accelerate the dismissal process already initiated by his government in the public sector, which, according to the presidential spokesman, Manuel Adorni, would be permanent and eternal. For every job in the public sector, in the private sector, at least one job is lost, he told Radio Mitre. He added, whatever we do to shrink the structure of the state is in the highest number of jobs in the private sector. What if you've been paying attention to anything that Trump has been talking about when he's signing over all these executive orders? He's continuing, just constantly pushing the narrative that if we reduce the public sector, reduce the government workers, we can then start installing more into the private sector. It's word for word, verbatim, the exact same thing that Milei has been doing in Argentina that Trump is doing in the United States. It's exactly the same thing. This is pushing the fascism role. I'm telling you that that's what's going on. It has nothing to do with reducing government. This has to do with reducing the number of people in government and expanding the technocratic state and continuing to push the private and public push together, which is the foundation for the fascist movement. Let's keep going because it's not done. According to the president, Milei, who last week participated, again, this is 2024, in a meeting with CEO, entrepreneurs, and investors in the technology sector of Silicon Valley, Techno Bros, Argentina is willing to incorporate the artificial intelligence services of these companies to apply to education and state reform, which he has described as bad news for the corrupt. Again, does any of this sound familiar? We've been hearing it for a while now, haven't we? Education with AI. The libertarian far-right leader completed his tour in the U.S. with a meeting from Meta chief executive Mark Zuckerberg. The Meta company has an entire ARM system for human capital formation for the training of people so that, let's say, it can build a career, Milei said. And he said that the proposal has already discussed with Minister Sandra Pettivalo, Human Capital, who was ratified in office following requests for resignation from the scandal for the collection of food for community canteens. From tomorrow, this Monday, we started making contact with the people of Meta to implement artificial intelligence in the formation of our children. An AI schooling system under the control of Meta. He also said that during his meeting with the president of El Salvador, Bukele, best I got, he talked about the implementation of AI in the state cut. Here we go. At Google. So we got Meta, we got Google. Those are good companies, right? They have an armed system to do state reform with artificial intelligence. Do you know where they applied it very successfully? In El Salvador. Does any of that sound familiar? Oh boy. Yeah, they're pushing forward with this. They're saying it's a good thing. The corrupt are afraid. They're scared. We're cutting costs. We're reducing government. But in actuality, they're increasing government. And the corrupt aren't scared. They're the ones that are now gaining control of all these things. So when I see something like this, I think it's going to be something like this. Personally, that's how I view it. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, though. I could be. I'm just going off of track record here and projection according to said track record. So, okay. Woo! You guys good? Take a breath. Got a couple more things. We're doing good on time. All right. Grab your popcorn. Video time. Got a video here. There was an executive order that was signed. I believe was it today or yesterday? I can't keep track anymore, guys. I think it was today. No, it was yesterday. It was yesterday. About the Sovereign Wealth Fund. Okay, I don't know how we can have a wealth fund when we're trillions upon trillions of dollars in debt. So that's interesting. But he signed an executive order. Standing next to him were Secretary of Treasury Scott Bessent and Secretary of Commerce Howard Lutnick. And they made some interesting comments on some stuff. Let's take a look.
Yes, sir. This is very exciting. We're going to stand this thing up within the next 12 months. We're going to monetize the asset side of the U.S. balance sheet for the American people. We're going to put the assets to work. And I think it's going to be very exciting. We're going to study best practices that's done around the world. It'll be a combination of liquid assets, assets that we have in this country as we work to bring them out for the American people.
The extraordinary size and scale of the U.S. government and the business it does with companies should create value for American citizens. If we are going to buy 2 billion COVID vaccines, maybe we should have some warrants and some equity in these companies and have that grow for the help of the American people. So I bring all these things together, I think Scott and I will create an amazing sovereign wealth fund for you, sir.
Yeah. Woohoo. So, just a couple things. First off, Scott Bessent. I've talked about this guy when I did the breakdown of some of Trump's administration picks. Here's just a rundown in case you forgot or you don't know. Scott Bessent, he was trained up and was a partner and raised up by George Soros and his investment company. Scott Bessent would sign MAGA authors to book deals and then turn around and sue them. Did that more than once, more than twice. Scott Bessent worked with George Soros to cause the Black Wednesday 1992 crash, which crashed the British pound in 1992. That was George Soros and Scott Bessent who did that. Scott Bessent sits on the board of the Rockefeller University. And Scott Bessent is openly gay, married to his husband, and has a couple of kids. So that's a winner. And then Howard Lutnick, which he's the Secretary of Commerce, he was the longtime neighbor of Jeffrey Epstein and also worked with Jeffrey Epstein to set up various real estate deals and remodels for suspicious reasons. You guys can look further into that if you want to. I don't want to talk about it on YouTube just in case. It's still kind of a touchy subject. I don't need to get banned. But something that I found interesting, and you should too, was I'm sure a lot of people heard that he's talking about if the United States government was to buy 2 billion COOF things, then the government should should profit from that. So what's interesting that I kind of want to make a point about this is you're going to have a government that's going to invest in the private sector, and then they're going to try and sell you the thing from that private sector. Again, we're entering into fascist territory here. This is a word that I never thought I would be using as much as I have been the past couple weeks, but this is where we're at now. Basically, what they're saying is this allows them to create a problem so they can sell you something and profit off of it. The best way that I have it here is investing into companies allows them to create problems for you to sell you a solution for them to profit. So in this case, they can create a COOF situation. I gotta be careful. Create a COOF situation. And then since they're invested in the companies that can fix that situation, then when they sell you that solution, they will profit off of it. Do you see how dangerous this is? Do you see how horrifically dangerous that is? But it's okay, because Trump's one of the good guys. He's not a bad guy. No. He would never. He cares about us. He cares about little old me. He cares about little old me. He would never do anything like that. Stargate. Crimson Contagion. You guys remember Crimson Contagion? It seems like we forget some of that history. Crimson Contagion, if you don't remember, because I know I got some people here who weren't here when I talked about it before, was the precursor to Event 201. I'm sure a lot of people know Event 201. Crimson Contagion was the one before that. Crimson Contagion ran the tabletop. This was Trump's administration, ran the tabletop situation for a COOF outbreak. And then because of that, they created the CARES Act before they knew that they needed the CARES Act. And then they took that information from Crimson Contagion, applied it to Event 201, which was the global version of it. And then a couple months later, we all know what happened. And then a couple months later, that's when the CARES Act was introduced. And it's amazing how that stuff was going on. And now, he calls himself the father of the vax. He's the vax daddy, baby. Yeah. Doing the little dance thing. I killed a whole bunch of people. Yeah. We often forget about that. He's one of the good guys, though. Yeah. That's what this can do, because when you have investment in these things, you can create a problem, react to it, provide the solution, profit. Sound familiar? It should. Okay. Let's keep on going. We got two more. Yeah, we're good. All right. Let's go ahead and talk about this, shall we? So Musk rips fraudulent Treasury handouts as reports mount. Doge has access to federal payment system. Oh boy. Musk reported that Treasury officers were always instructed to approve payments, even to known fraudulent or terrorist groups. Now, what I find interesting that I just want to go ahead and put out there is everybody is taking Elon Musk at his word, even though Musk is providing no proof of anything and just posting something on Twitter, and everybody goes, well, because Musk said it, it must be true. Something to keep in mind on that. Don't fall for that ploy just because he's saying it that it's true. It goes on to say tech billionaire Elon Musk ripped alleged fraudulent Treasury payments on Saturday as reports circulated that the Department of Government Efficiency has gained access to the federal government's payment system as the second Trump administration continues cutting what they say is government fat and overspending. The Doge team discovered, among other things, that payment approval officers at the Treasury were instructed always to approve payments, even to known fraudulent or terrorist groups. They literally never denied a payment in their entire career, not even once. Musk, the chair of Doge, posted early Saturday morning to X. Okay. This is where it's kind of interesting, though. Musk post came just ahead of New York Times reporting Saturday afternoon that Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent granted Doge personnel access to the payment system. Treasury spends roughly $6 trillion per year on payments for federal agencies. So Scott Bessent granted Doge personnel access to the payment system. If you guys were here on Saturday, I talked about how part of the plan was to allow private sector people who don't have security clearance to sit in and be informed on this. This was something that Biden signed 4 days before Trump took over as an advancement, basically passing the baton, giving a gift basket in regards to this. Now we're starting to see that this is indeed playing a part. Now, the timing of this is interesting. So let's back it up. Musk, he was back in the day when he conned his way into PayPal. Remember, he wasn't one of the founders of it. He conned his way in. He was trying to create the Everything app, the X app back then. Then he moved away from that. And now that he's bought Twitter, he created the X app. And there's video of him talking about how he wants to just copy the WeChat system from China and apply it to the X app, which is the Everything app. WeChat controls all the payment stuff, social profile, your wallet, social credit score, government tracking, your jobs, your licenses, your identification, everything. Just the entire system. City and citizen system runs through WeChat, basically. Everything runs through that thing. Musk wants to copy that and apply it to the X app. Now, he also stated that he wants at least half of the U.S. financial infrastructure to run through X. He wants at least half of it to run through X. Just a couple days ago, X announced that they have partnered with Visa for X money to allow payments and wallets and identification to all work in X. Now we're getting the report that Musk apparently has access to the U.S. payment system from Scott Bessent. Do you guys see where this is going? He's got access to the financial system that he wants to have at least half of it run on his X Everything app. At the same time, he's already got the partnership with Visa on this payment system. It's all starting to come together. This X Everything app, this dystopian system that he's copying from China, which of course was funded by the WEF in order to get everything ready to introduce to the world. And now we're starting to see that. We're seeing all of it come together in this situation. So he's now getting access to the financial system. Yikes, man. Yikes. Last one. You guys remember 6G? I've talked about 6G in the past. 6G is something that we should be ready for. That's coming about. One of the things that I've talked about with 6G, and I've talked about it a couple times, I'm not going to bring it up here now. You guys can go and look it up. I've got videos on it. As I've talked about in the past, that they have tested 6G and it allows human energy to power electronic devices. A lot of people are asking, how on earth are they going to power a lot of this stuff and whatnot? A lot of it, I believe, has to do with they're going to turn us into batteries. You want to talk about the Matrix, predictive programming. They talk about people locking people in the Matrix or the metaverse, which allows the robots, the AI robots, to use human energy to power their systems. Well, we're seeing a lot of that stuff happening, unfolding in front of our eyes. 6G will allow them to do that. A lot of it has to do with LEDs, LED lights, visual radio signal transfer system, which allows them to transfer data. If you don't know, LEDs are constantly flashing. Sometimes you can't tell. That's why when you try and take a picture of an LED, that's why it looks like that. But this is something that's going on that wants to advance. Well, something that was introduced in 2023 and is still active and working its way through to this day is HR 1513, which is the Future Networks Act. And so what this is this bill requires the Federal Communications Commission to establish the 6G task force to report on sixth-generation wireless technology, including the status of setting standards for and possible uses of such technology. The task force shall be composed of representatives of trusted companies in the communications industry, Trusted public, and number 2, trusted public interest organizations or academic institutions. And number 3, federal, state, local, and tribal governments. So they want to push this forward. This is nothing new to Trump either. This is something that he even said back in 2019. Trump wants 6G internet as soon as possible. This is something they said in 2019. I want 5G and even 6G technology in the United States as soon as possible. It is far more powerful, faster, smarter than the current standard. American companies must step up their efforts or get left behind. There's no reason that we should be lagging behind, and so on and so forth. There's a couple other tweets that really don't matter. But he wants it as soon as possible. If you guys don't remember, I talked about in the Trump card, again, you guys can go and watch that if you haven't, that he was the one that escalated and basically launched warp speed for the 5G stuff. If you guys don't remember, he was the one that did that. And then he was setting the table for 6G, and it seems that's what he wants to warp speed this time, is he wants to warp speed the 6G, because obviously as we move into the AI biometric system, you're going to need that extra infrastructure to do so. And so it seems like that's going to be one of the things that he wants to push through again on this one. So again, I go over it more. There's a video that I've done. You can find it on my channel regarding 6G and human energy. You can check that out. And then if you want to know more about the push for 5G and 6G, that's on my Trump card episode as well. So, woo! Crazy times, guys. We're at this point now where I'm having to really just do a giant list of just news stuff now when it comes to this stuff, because of how quickly this stuff is coming out. We covered a lot on that. Helicopter stuff, executive order, Palantir, the Gaza stuff, the immigration, drug cartels, Canada, Mexico deals, the Ukraine rare earth, Ukraine military stuff, the military upgrades, the U.S. aid situation, the education, Argentina, Musk and the financial system, 6G. It's just, can you guys believe how fast everything is going right now? I mean, things are just kicking up and going hard in the yard. That's from Vin Dog. He likes to say that, hard in the yard. Oops, sorry, didn't mean to hit the microphone there. But yeah, this shouldn't surprise us, guys. This shouldn't shock us. Ultimately, what I want to say is, just don't be quick on the draw when it comes to narratives. Don't be so fast to just jump onto whatever your favorite person is saying, myself included. Be a Berean, always check these things out. But realize there's always more going on. Politicians lie. It seems like we forget that. When it's a Democrat, they lie about everything. But when it's one of our guys, and I use that in quotations, one of our guys, not really our guys at all. It's, oh no, we could take them at their word. You know, I made this point when I was having a conversation with my dad. You look at, like, I specifically, I don't know why this one's so ingrained in my mind, but I just remember it. It was just not too long ago. There was the whole thing about the FBI director Wray coming out saying we were hacked by Chinese people, or the Chinese government or whatever. They hacked our government systems. I found so many people, Christians, prophecy teachers, pastors, I mean, just all across the board, that for the life of them, they have repeatedly said how they don't trust the FBI. They don't trust Wray. He's one of the Democrats. He's one of the bad ones. And we shouldn't believe anything that he says. But the moment he says we were hacked by Chinese people, all of those people that were preaching that came around and said, well, China hacked our thing because Wray said it. What was the difference between we shouldn't trust him, he's one of the bad guys, to now that's something that I see a lot of, is the whole flip-flop of when we're supposed to trust these people and when we're not. We can't trust them. Like, at all, ever, for anything. And that includes people that we think are on our side. We have to be very careful. You know, we often hear all these people talking about deception, but we very rarely ever hear any of them talk about the tactics of deception, which is one of the things that I've really kind of curved into a lot in the past year. I never really talked about that subject too often, but now I'm talking about it as much as I can because it doesn't seem like it's a subject that wants to get talked about. And I think it's detrimental. We can repeat deception all day long, but if we don't know what it means, it's like the same thing. How many times have we used words in a conversation that we really have no idea what that word means, and we realize that it wasn't used properly later on? I do it 50 times an episode, man. I do it 50 times an episode. But it's a situation where the same thing with deception. We can know deception all day long. Yeah, deception. Yep. Jesus said, watch out for deception. There's deception coming everywhere. But if we don't know how it's being used, we're just I don't know, a wet sock flopping in the wind. I couldn't think of anything. It's the best I got. But yeah, I just wanted to put that forward. So just be careful about this stuff. Don't be so quick to jump onto things. Do your due diligence, do your research, be a Berean. And ultimately, the only thing that we can trust is Jesus Christ and his word. And if you don't have Jesus Christ, if you don't have that promise of salvation, then you've got nothing. You've got nothing, man. You can know all this information. You can see through it. You can be a couple steps ahead. You can know all this stuff. But if you don't have the salvation of Jesus Christ, you're dead. Death awaits you. And so I plead with you. I urge you that if you don't have Jesus Christ, today is the day to do it. And his gospel is as simple as ABC. A, you admit that you're a sinner. The act of repentance is the changing of mind, metanoia, the changing of mind, turning from self to Jesus. Again, so many people who look into this stuff and do the research and go down the rabbit holes, they rely on themselves. They think if I can just learn enough, if I can just prep enough, if I can just have enough information to stay ahead of the curve, then I'm good. I'm good. I'll make it through. But see, you're dead because you can't do it. Only Jesus Christ can do it. And it's through repentance that allows you to go, you know what? I can't do it, and I need Jesus. It's through repentance that allows us to have true belief in Jesus Christ, because if we don't know why we need a Savior, then how can we believe in Jesus Christ as our Savior? And so it's through repentance that allows true belief in Jesus Christ. You believe that Jesus Christ is the one and only begotten Son of God, that he came down 100% man, 100% God, the God-man, the one and only. There is no other. And he lived the perfect, sinless life, the one and only to do so, which means he was the only one qualified to carry the sins of the world upon his shoulders, to take our place upon the cross, and to be crucified and die. He was the only one qualified to do that. You can't do it. Buddha can't do it. Krishna can't do it. The lizard people can't do it. The lizard people can't do it. None of them can do it. None of them were qualified. Only Jesus Christ. And so he came down. He carried the sins of the world upon his shoulders. He took our place upon the cross, and he was crucified, and he died. But because there is power in the blood of Jesus Christ, because he did exactly as he said he would, he did exactly as he promised, he did exactly as he prophesied, he defeated death and rose again on the third day. For all who believe in him shall not perish, but live forever in his presence and in his glory. Now keep in mind, knowing and believing are two very different things. You can know the story, you can say the words of the prayer, but if you don't have true belief in him, if you don't place your faith and your trust in him, then you don't got it. Remember, even Satan knows the story of Jesus. Just think of that. So you repent, you believe, and see as you call upon the Lord. Lord Jesus, I'm a sinner. I have sinned, and I need you alone to save me. Lord Jesus, I believe that you are the one and only begotten Son of God, that you came down and lived the perfect sinless life, that you died upon the cross, and that you rose again on the third day. Lord Jesus, come into my life, come into my heart, and save me. Amen. Amen. Don't wait. Your only hope is Jesus Christ. Your only hope. And for those who do have Jesus Christ, you have the blessed hope. And that day is coming soon, man. It's coming soon, and I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be, what a glorious day. What a glorious day. I'm looking forward to it. All right, guys. That's all I got. I'm getting you out of here just a few minutes late, but either way, good stuff. Thank you guys for joining me today. Usual spiel. If you guys can, like, share, subscribe. Get this out to as many people as you can. Not about views, not about butts and seats, but it is about getting the warning out to people and getting people to Jesus. That's why we do this. And so if you guys can do me a solid and like, share, subscribe, it would certainly help get to those people. There's so many people who are just lost. They have questions. They don't know what on earth is going on. They don't have the hope that is Jesus Christ. There's so many that are being deceived purposely, not on purpose. There's so many that are just falling into whatever sensational thing that's going on right now, and they're going the wrong direction. And so if you guys can do me a solid and like, share, subscribe, that the algorithm can maybe get to those people, bring them in, and we can give them the foundation of the Word of God. We can give them the gospel, and hopefully they can give their lives to Christ. So if you guys can do me a solid, that would be awesome. Make sure you guys also follow me, Rumble, Odyssey, Telegram. Those are my backup channels. If I get booted off YouTube, we'll be backup live streaming on Rumble. Of course, we're live streaming the YouTube, Rumble, and the website right now, but Rumble's the backup. Odyssey is the backup to the backup. And then Telegram, I post updates, announcements, news, things, and anything in between. I just kind of throw it up there as the week goes along. What else? The website. My mind is fried, guys. This has been nuts today as far as all the information. The website, that's your one-stop shop for all your questions. You guys want to know what's going on? You guys want the latest podcast? You guys want a video series? You guys want the event page? You guys want fried alligator? You can't find fried alligator on there, sorry. But yeah, that's the best place to keep up to date with what's going on. So make sure you guys bookmark the page. Of course, coming up March 15th, 2025, free online all-day event. Is a Saturday, free. Don't have to pay for anything. Don't have to register. Don't have to go to any special site or anything like that. Just hop onto the YouTube channel or onto the website. Sorry, Rumble, it's not going to be on Rumble for this. It's just I'm trying to make it as streamlined as possible. But just hop on there. It'll be playing. Good to go. All-day event. Again, these are your speakers: JB Hickson, JD Farag, David Bowen, Jeff Solwald, John Prescott, Toby Stevens, and myself. It's going to be a good time. A lot of people are asking, when does it start? When I get the schedule set up, I will make sure to announce that. So keep an eye on the event page on WretchedWatchmen.com. That will be updated with the start time and the schedule for all that stuff. It's going to be good. So make sure you guys tune in for that. Tomorrow, noon Central on YouTube, 1 p.m. Central on Rumble is the Bobblehead Adventures. So make sure you guys tune in for that. It's just a time, like 5 minutes of just having some fun, being ridiculous. There is no point to it, but just to laugh. God gave us the gift of laughter, and I think we should use it. If we're not laughing, we'd be crying, right? Good stuff. So make sure you guys tune in for that tomorrow. And last but not least, if you guys would like to support this channel and what I do, I got donation links down below. CashApp, Venmo, Give, Send, Go. You guys are the ones that make this work. You guys are the ones that make this happen. The Lord has blessed me with you guys, and I'm so grateful for it. So if you guys would like to support this channel, I'm not monetized. I don't make anything for ads, views, anything like that. So those links are below. Thank you guys for your support and your prayers and your encouragement. It means the world. I'm just so grateful that the Lord is allowing me to do this, and He's just taking care of me through you guys. You guys are awesome. So thank you. And that's all I got. So go out and be bold for Jesus. Go out and be bold for the Lord. And if you have to step on some toes, step on some toes. If you have to hurt some feelings, hurt some feelings. Do it in love for the right reason, of course. But don't be afraid to do so, because the truth is what matters. The gospel is what matters. And if we're not doing that, we're compromising, we're tolerating, or we're leaving things out just because we don't want to hurt feelings, so we're not doing it the right way. Jesus hurt a lot of feelings. Remember that. He still hurts a lot of feelings. So if the Lord did it, it can't be that bad, can it? So, all right, that's all I got, guys. If I don't see you on, actually, no, if the Lord does not come back by Saturday, same time, same place, I'll meet you guys right back here. Peace out, Maranatha.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.